Hey, welcome to another Businessology lesson. I love to talk about capacity. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about 3 questions to assess your team's capacity. So the first one is, I want to read it to you. How can you tell which team member is not working at their most optimal level? Sometimes you just feel it. And how do you know? Well, let me tell you how we lead our team specifically. We have a recurring calendar appointment where we're meeting with our team, new team, for about the first 3 to 6 months. We meet with them monthly. If they're struggling, we meet with them more. And then after that, we meet with them quarterly. The reason we're doing that is we want to get a sense of how they feel about their capacity. So here's one thing in this first question. How can you tell when a team member's not working at their most optimal level? You've got to be in their life asking them questions. So one question we always ask a team member in these quarterly check-ins is, how do you feel about your capacity? So we know they're not going to always be accurate, but we're not looking for accuracy. We're looking for how they feel, right? Because how they feel is one of the components of capacity. If you've heard me talk about that, it's MELT, mind, emotion, location, and time. MELT is how we define professional capacity. And that emotion is something we want to tap into. When you tap into the emotion of a team member, they just start talking and they start telling you how they feel. They start telling you what's going on. So you don't have to have any HR faux pas and start talking about their personal life. You can ask the right question and they'll start sharing things personally. And that's what you want, because then as the owners, again, we're third parties looking into the life of this team member, somebody we really do care about. We care about what they're going through, but we're also doing our own assessments and judgments going, okay, my partner and I will come away and go, all right, I think they're struggling here, or I think that's a thing, or how is that thing that they shared now going to affect this brand new client we're about to bring in and assign to them? We have to know those things, and that's going to help us know this team member's struggling. They're not at their most optimal level. I don't understand why they're saying those things. They normally work better than this. We're seeing patterns of them disappearing, which happens in virtual firms all the time. People disappear when they start to struggle. And so you can see those patterns of disappearance. So this question is really key. How can you tell when a team member's not working at their most optimal level? Well, the way you can tell is get in their life and start asking questions, and ask questions about how they feel. Or you can ask questions about other parts of the capacity definition. MELT, mind, emotion, location, and time is what MELT stands for. You can ask about their mind. Do you feel distracted? Are there things going on that are making it hard for you to do your work? We know you started working at home more. Is that an easy place for you to focus on the kinds of financial advisory sessions that we want you to do? Those kind of things. So you got to get in the life of your team and start asking them questions. So that's question number 1. So here's a second question on assessing your team's capacity. This is, who on your team produces the most work and who produces the most valuable work? That is, the valuable, most complex work. And so this is where we have to talk about that. And this is key for you to know as the owner. You want to know, who can I give the most difficult stuff to, right? And you want that to probably be the person you're paying the most labor to. So here's what I'm trying to match up with this question. I get this client coming in paying a very high value price, and if they are, then it probably means we're doing something very difficult for that client, right? Or something complex, or something perceived as very valuable. And when you have a client paying a very high value price, you need to funnel that to the capacity that can produce something that complex. So what we're trying to do here with this question, figuring out who does the most work, who can produce the most, is we're trying to match up our revenue production with our capacity usage. Those have to go together. Let me talk about when they don't go together. So when you have very difficult work going to an inexperienced person, they stumble, they struggle, they're inefficient, they have to research, they have to ask a bunch of people, they pull other people's capacity in to help them. So that's a mismatch of revenue to capacity usage. Those are really important. Also, you could do it the other way around. You have a huge volume of really easy clients, really easy work. You give it to this high-powered person who's used to doing complex things. They're bored. They don't like this job. They're like, why do I keep doing this crap work? These kind of things, you got to make sure you're matching up. So this question is really important. Who on your team can really produce the best work, the most valuable work? And this is not an equity conversation about your team. Everybody is equally valuable to you on your company, but they are in different roles. And so that's how you leverage growth, is by hiring more junior roles and hiring more senior roles, more management roles, more director roles. All of these roles should be doing various things in revenue production. And you have to know which team is doing the most work and is able to do the most complex work. So here's another third question on assessing your team's capacity. Who on your team has a personal life that is hindering their ability to focus or work in an undistracted way? So this also is something we always want to know this. So we always want to know, is our team struggling in any personal way? Now, we can never ask that. We can't say, are you struggling? Or why don't you just finally put your kid in school? We can't say those kind of things. So, and this is tough, right? Because your team are working at home. They get to make their own personal decisions, right? You're taking a risk by hiring somebody, by letting them make a decision about doing something in their life that makes it harder to work. And so we've had team members like that, and all you can do is call them to their work. And so, but we have to know what is the thing going on in their personal life, or they're about to go on. Now, one way we can all see this happen is in the summer, right? In the summer, if you have team members who have kids at home that come out of school, and in the summer, then they're there in the house more. And if your team are working in the house, the season of the summer is a place of distraction for our team. It just always is. Our team, we have 15 people on our team, so a lot of them have kids. So you've got to know, when are they going to be distracted? Summer is a time when they're going to be distracted. So that's something in their personal life. So we're not going to try to pull off a lot of big growth moves in the summer. We're not going to have our retreat in the summer. We're going to pull that into the fall. We're trying to work around the distractions of the personal life because we're smart enough to kind of work around those. Now, we could just get frustrated and try to push stuff into summer, but we're going to just be pushing against tons of personal life decisions that are hard to push against. So you need to know this question: who on your team has a personal life that's hindering the ability to focus? And if you have somebody, and we've had people like this, their personal life is just so bad and so chaotic and so disruptive, they actually lead a very chaotic life. If they could be into a lot of things. If they're having problems with alcohol or, serious depression or anything like that, you cannot address those things. But what you can do is call them to their role over and over and say, you're not meeting your job, requirements. Call them to their role, meet with them saying, what can we do to help you meet this job? Things are falling behind again. And when we do that for a period of time, what it does is it ratchets down on that team member, and it puts the burden on them to deal with their own personal issues. Sometimes they can't get on top of that. And we get that. But at some point, they can't work here either. That is a decision, and there's got to be a point at time when you go, all right, their personal life is going to remain in this dysfunctional pattern in a way that they can't work here. So what you have to do is call them to their work in such a tight way. You got to start saying, all right, you're going to fix this by next Friday. You're going to really start ratcheting down on this team member so that they can come to see, all right, I cannot do this job. I'm falling behind. And if you do that enough, then you'll have justification to go ahead and remove them from the team. Or sometimes, most of the time, we've had teams self-select out when their personal life actually starts to become so difficult. But we have to really not put them through the ringer, but we have to keep calling them to their job because they're not doing their job. And here we are paying their salary, every 2 weeks. We're giving them a paycheck, and they keep not performing. So eventually they self-select out, or if they don't do that, we have justification then to remove them from the company. So that is why you want to know things about the personal life in your team. So I hope those key questions about your team's capacity are helpful. Thanks for listening.